If you just came from the class, we started a new cohort, the Feb one, the most awaited cohort of the year, where we change everything. We introduce new concepts, we introduce a new course, and this time we are doing agentic. We don't like teaching the same course again and again because it's super boring, and I hate boring stuff. You will know that about me by this time already. If you don't, then now you know it. Oh, there are more people than I expected today. I thought we'll just meet as a close group of people and talk about basic things. And you can ask me any questions. Today is a very open session. I did 3 sessions before this back to back, where I dumped a lot of knowledge, a lot of things. And today I wanted to just have a frank ask me anything questions. I will talk about a couple of things. I will share one experience that people shared with me about their interviews, and I get a chance to deep dive on that. So I will talk about that, and hopefully we can discuss or expand on that idea today. But feel free to put your questions in chat, and Karan can ask them, or if it's a burning desire, then you can say it. I'm trying to get questions streamlined going forward. What that means is you put it in chat, and then somebody in the team can ask those questions. It just becomes faster, easier. With that said, Yeting is here, and that's all I needed. Thank you, Yeting, for joining the call. Pyle is here. Pyle is from our batch. Current batch, we started a new batch today. If you're still thinking, we have divided this batch into two because we got much more people than I expected. So I opened a new slot because I don't like teaching 200 people in a class. I want to keep it 40 to 50. But the great part is that we have another batch. We are doing Wednesday and Saturday, 2 sessions. So if anybody wants to join us, sign up today. If you don't want to join, completely fine. I will be here. We can still talk, and we are still have a lot of friends here. I want to take the course again. Yes, Yeting, you can take the course again. Just talk to Karan. We'll figure out a way. Okay. Thanks a lot again for joining. I want to talk about 2, 3 areas. One is how to prepare or what's happening in AI PM interviews. Harsha shared last time that he got into some awesome new assignment that he has, and I'm seeing good news left and right. Jennifer from our last cohort also got a job. She's doing GitHub education now, which is looking at various things, and I was working with her closely. And others have reached out on interviews. So I have started doing one, and I have pasted a lot of jobs. I should have not said it, but I think those were not copied to the community. But now, because I said it, we'll copy all the jobs I posted, which has internal course only community, to the community also, so that you all can see it. These are the jobs that I post because my friends are hiring, and I see a lot of hiring happening. So very exciting time for all of us. And I thought today's Ask Me Anything, if we can focus on how to get into AI, what kind of people question ask, how to prepare for it, that would be cool. Or you can ask me anything. And I will open the floor soon. Thank you, Subhecha, for being on camera. I love when you come on camera because then I can talk to people. Otherwise, I'm just talking to this machine, which is not fun. But now I can see when I put Subhecha to sleep so that I can just start running. With all that said, we are 5 minutes. We can get started. Harsha, want to say something? Harsha, type it down, or you want to just go ahead. Go ahead, Harsha.
Just a request for a big help. If we have a Slack community channels, right? So if you can share those awesome job opportunities in the Slack, that will be really great. The reason why I'm asking is
Definitely, I already said yes, Harsha. That's a miss on our part, actually. I used to paste it on one, and it never got transferred. When talking to you folks, I just realized that it never got transferred. So what we'll do is we'll paste it, and in future, I will just paste on both.
Oh no, I just want to add this little thing because some of us in your community are forming practice sessions, mock sessions. So
yes, that's awesome.
that would be great.
And Harsha, Thank you for doing that. I'm also thinking of expanding the community. We will talk about that later. If you have ideas, if you want to be in that core committee which decides what should we do, by God grace, uh, we have some funds also, because the goal for the course was to fund the community.
Mm.
And this time we are doing good, so we can expand and we can give more to people. So if you have ideas, if you want to do a conference, or if you think we should have a instructor do a session and it's a paid one, I'm happy to fund it. um,
Yes, definitely
I'm
will.
saying
We are.
more. I am saying more. What can I more than what I can afford? But I want to help, and I think we will plan, and I will send a form out. And if you want to be in committee, I want to create a committee of 4 or 5 people, and then execute at least more ideas than this session. This session is the only avenue we have, and the LinkedIn channel where we post our posts, and hopefully the Slack channel we can get to jobs. And Harsha is doing a great job. He posts a lot of stuff, and we have interview sessions, and we will do more. So this year I want to do more on community and take the engagement to the next level. And I'm looking for ideas, and we will start small like we did with the course, and we will organically expand. The goal is to help just like-minded people like Harsha, me, and others. With that said, let me just share one experience, and then I will open for questions. So a friend of mine called me and said, Mahesh, I'm interviewing with this staff product manager position. It's AI role in a SaaS-based company. Let's call it something like a company called Socks. And let's imagine Socks does storage. So their business is in storage. They used to do storage, and now they are getting into AI. Imagine something like whatever that company name is. What provides the storage on top of AWS? A wrapper, but a very good rapper and a billion-dollar company.
Not an S3 bucket. You're talking about something else?
Yes, S3 bucket, but they actually went an app, and the app people pay for subscription, and now you can put all your data. Swati is helping us with the community. So Swati is becoming the face of this community soon. Swati is one of our batchmates, and I was talking to her last batch, and she has some ideas on community. She will come hopefully in this community soon, and I will start engaging. That's the other announcement. So if Swati pings you, know that she's trying to gather ideas on how can we get better on this community. Uh, Dropbox. So let's just imagine Dropbox. So product manager, Dropbox, and the recruiter calls. In the recruiter call, 3 questions. One, walk me through any AI product that you have built. That's one question. Okay, great. You answer that question. The second question is that what are the challenges you have faced in solving this problem? Third question is what kind of knowledge you have used, and what were the challenges in using that knowledge? Look at like the kind of sophistication people are putting for AI roles. If you just break that down, this is an AI PM role, and the first call you have with the recruiter, and the recruiter wants to know a few things. The recruiter is asking, have you done an AI project? And then he wants to see challenges in bringing that. And specifically, he wants to see specific to knowledge, because maybe they are a company which is Dropbox or any domain you can pick up. Like if they are storage, they will ask you about that problem. If they are building tools, then they will say, what are the tooling problems? If what you have faced, if they are building, so LangChain will ask you, what is the developer engagement problems? If they are a company which builds end-to-end agent frameworks, they will ask you how you broke down a problem into something you can talk about. So this is the first call. This happens in a first call. Anybody want to share their experience? Is this only couple of what I heard? Is this a pattern that is evolving, that recruiter is this right now the screening round? It has gone from the hiring manager to the recruiter. People have given these basic questions, and then they meet every week on Friday to present all the people with their answers. They might have some system, and then they decide who to call for hiring manager. Is that happening? Common? Or I'm the only one? Or this experience is expected or new? If you're not gonna say anything, I'm just continue. Harsha says yes. Great.
Mahesh, I
Second
think
round.
sometimes they also ask the link of the product you have done.
Oh man. So I can't just bluff it, huh? So even the next level, huh? Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Pawan. So the recruiter asks you this, then the hiring manager comes. Hiring manager, 5 questions. First question, Mahesh, we did X, but now X is done by OpenAI or Anthropic core model. Claude can handle X, which can be anything. Like you can think of X as we used to give citations. Like if I answer a question, I also tell where in the document I got the answer from. That's the citation. And they are saying, hey, we built an API which used to give citation for everything OpenAI answered, but now it's coming directly from Claude. Given this, you tell me what should we build next? Given that, you tell me what should we build next? What to build next? Good. Nicole, you have a question, then just let's continue. I will just keep writing. Then I will lose my chain of thought and then we can debate these questions, discuss them. Okay, next question. How you broke down a complex AI task into knowledge and other components. And the third is how, and they have other questions about cross-reference. I'm just leaving them. How you sell to customers knowing they don't want their jobs to be automated. They don't want their jobs to be automated. So let's say they build an agent which allows them to do insurance claims faster. So they have a use case. On top of this box, people are putting their files, uploading all the pictures because Dropbox, let's say, have this new way. Dropbox is an app where you can upload any picture because now you need not to pay Google storage. So you put everything on Dropbox, and Dropbox came up with this cool idea that now what they can do is they can help you file claims, and they're working with insurance companies. So if you need to file claims, it can automatically put things from Dropbox and it can fill your form. Good? So far, Garima good? Brinda good? That's your interview live today. Anybody good? Say yes. Give me emoji. Say something. Okay. Any ideas? How should I be ready for this one first? That's a typical AI PM interview these days. Good. How will we go about it? Anybody who has done the course? How will you answer? I need to sell my course, right? That's the idea. No.
I did a project with Mahesh, AI project with Mahesh. Like, hopefully I'll say that by the end of the course. And this
Hi,
is my example.
I'm the recruiter. So the answer is I build a contract lifecycle management, a contract processing. The problem is that, hey, everybody has contract, nobody understands them. People sign them all the time. I saw that problem because I was signing them. I got into this problem. Also, I checked in my company. I saw that they were signing contracts with a lot of complexities, and even lawyers can't understand what is going on. And sometimes I've seen consequences around data privacy or compliance that our team takes 3 to 4 weeks to just get a legal review done before I can ship this new product. And I thought, how can I automate that? So I built a system which allows me to see if you upload a risk, or it integrates with your email, and anytime a contract hits, it goes and find top 3 risks, helps me with the remedy that I can send to the other side. If a contract is signed, then it takes out all the key terms from the contract, push it to HubSpot, and then I had scripts which allows us to run Q&A, reporting, compliance, blah, blah, blah. Good answer. Can everybody say that? At least the people who have done the course? Yeting can say that. Yeting say yes on chat. Yeting can't talk, I know.
Helpful. Yes.
Hopeful. Can we say that? Awesome. Harsha has a question. Go ahead, Harsha.
Just wanted to share an experience. In one of the interviews, they made me detail the AI product lifecycle and the deliverables at each stage, and justify why the approach to the product cycle is what I detailed, and the thought process behind it. So it's a little bit beyond the project thing, a little bit above, but they do want to see some credible thinking about how companies actually do it. So
Great. So yeah, good one. So basically, they ask you plain simple. Because for me, right, what I have heard, Harsha, people don't make it dumb simple. Like they don't ask you, they ask you complex things, and then they want to hear that. They want to hear the same playbook, but with an example. And for you, like it was great if they ask you straightforward. It's just harder that way because now you can't skip the steps. You have to articulate all the 6, 7 things that we talk about, and hopefully you can answer those. So let's stick to this. Okay, I build this. Then the recruiters generally don't cross question, to be honest. He or she doesn't like ask like clarifying questions. They say, oh, I got broadly the contract. Okay, you're gonna make risk automated. Great. What are the challenges? So I am building the second question, let's say they ask you is, okay, you're building this contract system. It's an agent which looks at all your emails, and if the email has a contract, then it goes and respond in 30 minutes after you receive an email by saying, hey, these are the risks in your contract. Risk number 1, risk number 2, risk number 3. And by the way, here is an updated version of contract where I have crossed what is wrong and suggested what's the right thing in comments. You can just send it to the other party and say if they modify the contract, then I can sign it. Okay, so that's your broken steps. Let's say this is your project. Then what are the challenges you will face? Anyone? Somebody? This is a case study today. I'll stop talking for a change.
Level of accuracy versus like an expert who reviews contracts.
Oh, please say your name. Sorry, I can't see you today.
This is Jing. This is Jing. Yeah, I'm in your course.
Jing.
So,
oh, Jing,
so
great. Yeah, Jing. So Jing is saying, great, Jing, good answer. So Jing is saying, the first challenge I faced when I building this is our risks were only 30% as good as a human found. A human found, let's say 90 risks, we could only found 30. Right? And we were missing 60 in the beginning. Okay, great challenge. Any other challenges?
Legal and compliance challenge, like how are you storing the data? Are you keeping any PII or OII information?
Great. We responded to some of the customers and they came back and said, you have my contract. That contract was not to be seen by anybody but 2 people in the company. Forget about anything else. Who else looked at it? In the contract, it was written only 2 people with name Mahesh and Sakshi can actually see it. And now seems like some sophisticated agent have gone ahead and taken the contract, gave it to somebody, and it has risk. It has brought the risk, and I don't know where the contract has gone, which OpenAI or model you have used, and are the model provider using that contract now to train their models? I have no information. Can somebody clarify, or I'm gonna sue you? Any other problems? I'm gonna just make everything elevated today.
The
Sometimes
outdated knowledge part
Yeah,
you
I'm
shared earlier
also-
in the class today.
Sorry.
That outdated knowledge, as in it doesn't catch. I guess maybe that is also
Perfect.
part of number one. It doesn't catch all the
No,
risks.
this is good one. Good one. So this one, we only got 90 out of 30 risks. And then I debugged further. The biggest challenge I was facing is the contracts were 1,000 pages long. And when I tried to find the risks, I didn't even got the right context back. The 60 terms were not part of the assessment that we were doing. And because they were not part of it, we couldn't find the risks. Good answer. Who said it? Name,
Payal.
please. Pile, good job.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
sometimes they hallucinate also. That means they are telling that it is not a risk, but it can be.
Great. So the next problem is hallucination. So same problem. I got these 90, 60 wrong, and some of them I found are wrong because I don't on 60 wrong, 20 were because I didn't have the knowledge. The rest 20, I provided the right knowledge. I gave them the documents that was there needed to answer that risk or find a risk. But in spite of that, it came up with some risk that was not even written in the contract. Good answer, Pawan. Last one. Anybody else?
The size of the document, or is that captured here?
It means we did that, right? We said that the knowledge
1,000
part was
pages.
that if it was a large, so we have to cut it and we have to
Or-
give only relevant things. Or we did RAG, and RAG had its own challenges that we only got limited context, and the context was wrong. So RAG was not working. RAG is what is RAG? Community?
Retrieval augmented
Development.
generation.
Retrieval
Oh, man, look at this.
augmented generation.
Can somebody explain that to me in this contract example? Why I would need RAG, and when I will need RAG, and why I don't need RAG? This is my model. This is my contract. When can I live without RAG?
So if it's already in the knowledge base the model is trained with, then you don't need RAG, right? But if it's some kind of knowledge that doesn't exist in your training, then you need something to understand the context.
Great. That's Zing again, right?
It's Jing, I guess.
Great. If it is in part of the model training data, then you're good to go. Second is if the context or the size of this can fit the context of the question that you can send, 128K tokens, then you can send the whole contract and you don't need to retrieve the context which is relevant. So one answer is this, second answer is this. If these two are not true, then you have to store this whole thing in some kind of database. Because this database stores data as another thing, a vector or embeddings, we call it a vector store. And then when you ask a question, which is give me all the risks, it has to fetch only what I can send in a context, which is 128K tokens, which is 10 pages. You can say 50 pages. Then it has to extract from these 1,000 pages of contract to 10 page, 150 pages, and it sends my question with these 50 pages. This retrieval augmenting my question and this retrieval used for generation of risks is called RAG. Everybody clear? So now I have problem in my RAG that RAG is not finding these right 50 ones. That's why I'm getting 20 of my questions wrong. 20 of them I'm just hallucinating, and I'm looking for one more challenge. Anyone?
Yeah, actually, as this application it comes in question and answer from in chatbot, right? So in case of chatbot, suppose I'm asking some questions, it can be RAG is not retrieving that particular information from the documents. It can be that time
Yep.
that is a table issue.
So you got that, right? We got that. 20 problems. So we have 60 wrong answers. And when we we looked at the data, and one challenge was RAG doesn't work. We don't get the right context. That's why the answer is right. Another time, we got the right thing, but it still didn't answer and it just hallucinated. Anything else? Last thing?
I feel like this is Gene again, like
Did
maybe the
answer.
unstructured data. Sorry.
It did the answer, but because I needed to know in my answer, right, in my solution, what I'm doing is I'm also striking out what is the wrong thing and putting the right thing. That means it got the knowledge, it got the risk, but when it went to find where that risk was exactly, that location, that lines are wrong. So wrong citation. The answer is right, but instead of saying the risk is in termination clause, but it crossed the insurance clause. So it's saying insurance, but the suggestion is termination. Good. And you can come up with more. I'm just giving you rich examples so you can use them. Okay. You have the challenges. And then what are the storage specific challenges or knowledge specific challenges? We listed here already, which are 3. So now we can say, hey, we had challenges all along this journey. So what I built an AI project which automates risks. What are the challenges I'm having? I'm having 3 challenges. I'm getting wrong answer no matter what. Hallucination. I have wrong context or knowledge. And maybe I have integration challenges with email, and I have access challenges, and I have responsible AI challenges. You can just keep listing them. In knowledge specifically, I have 3 challenges. I don't get the right context. I don't know what is risk. I have tried to find a lot how to say what is risky, and what is risky in a contract is a general knowledge, and I can't build that system, and the quality is bad and I continuously need to improve it. So that's the other thing we found out when we launched the product. And the last thing we found out in this is, okay, we got the right context, we got everything, we got the answer, but the citation where that information is from was wrong. Good. If you give that answer, I think you can make it. Good. Everybody agree? So always have a project, always have a challenge, and then be ready to dive into one of those challenges that you lament to the interviewer. Yating is saying yes. Okay, great. Let's go into the second phase. Any questions on this one? This is an ask me anything. Because you are not asking, I'm just doing my own thing. So I will just continue painting this picture, and feel free to ask questions today. This is a very interactive session.
You started to talk
Mahesh?
about RAG and quizzing us a bit. So with the vectors and embeddings, is there any aspect of the way that the most basic RAG works that makes it more secure, more harder to hack, harder to learn from the outside?
No. So what is vector stores? You take the words, you convert the word into something called a machine readable matrix, a representation of 1 0 1 2 3 or 1 0 0 1 0 1. And when you are converting it into an embedding, you are basically creating in a way that the closer words can be, machines can understand what words come close to each other and what words are far, so it can cluster things. So let's say love is written like this, then hate will be written exactly like this, but it will have a 0 here, and rest everything will be copied. So in one dimension, these 2 metrics will be stored together. And the way of doing this is called creating embeddings. And there are models which actually take words and converts them into this form so that they can relate to each other. Once you have related words, when you send a query, find me risks, This guy goes to some other query enhancer, which says, hey, given this document, find risks. Here is a list of risks which are highly important in this kind of document. Here are some medium risks, and here are some low risk. We do that. Somebody has to do it because risk is not a term that is stored in your contract somewhere directly. So somebody converts your query into this query, which actually goes inside. And then a vector store is nothing but a way to store these vectors. So it's just a storage mechanism. And it does provide a fast retrieval and ranking. So once you have this detailed question, then this question goes in and it tries to find
cashback for Virgin Money. You'll nail down those rewards. What is a cash ISA? How do they work? Is it the
I think we
best
should auto switch everything, everybody to
great
mute one
question?
day.
Thanks for asking.
Can somebody mute
If
it?
you're curious about any of the above, then this video is for you. Over the next few minutes, I'll explain what cash ISAs are, how they work, and end with a short checklist that you can screenshot to help you decide if a cash ISA is right for you.
That was Tori. Okay, can we take Tori away?
Difference between an individual savings account or ISA
No.
and a standard savings account is with an ISA, you don't have to pay tax on any interest you earn. Naturally, you can't just not
Karan,
pay
can you
tax
mute
on a
everybody
limited
somehow?
amount of money. So the government has capped the amount you can pay into cash ISAs.
Yes, on it.
That muted me too, but hopefully you can hear me.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, this happens when you are in community. It can happen because we kept everybody open. So sorry for that, although I have nothing to contribute there. But we were doing a good analysis or breakdown of what is RAG. So we got into this story where we have the contract. We took all the terms, we converted into some kind of vector. The vectors converting it in a way which allows us to find relationships is called the process of embeddings. There are machine learning models which helps you create these embeddings and you use them to build them. Then you have a vector store where you store them, which allows you to store them in an efficient way and retrieve them. And then when you ask a question, your product will augment that question with all the relevant keywords. And then what this vector store does is just extract all the words that are in your query and what is closest to them. And when you ask this retrieval, you also say how many you want. You define your K size or your chunk size. And that also defines the speed of your product. You can say as much as you want, but you make them limited. And that limitation decides how many document or how many pages from that contract will be extracted. And those pages will go with your question. So the LLM or this model will get these questions and these pages to answer. So your prompt will be find risks. Here is an example of risks, high, medium, low, and use these only document to answer them, which you got from the process of RAG. That's RAG in nutshell. And it does not offer anything like security or any layers of sophistication here that you need to build in your product as guardrails or other things, which we will talk as we go. Did we answer your question?
You
Yeah,
you
is
did,
there a
Mahesh.
way?
Shooter.
Has that? Oh, go ahead. I don't want to get stuck here, but I having a little bit more of a being respectful of humans lens, and not having a computer science background. Can you just answer this? Is there only one way to turn the words to vectors, the 0-1 binary code? Like, is there only one way?
Yes.
Because I actually think
Yes.
that in of itself, as opposed to plain text, is the form of security.
Correct. So what happens is, for it's you need not to be computer scientist. So this is embeddings and all I explained just to answer or tell you all the details. So you know what goes into that process. So you know it's just a math functions there we are doing in RAG. RAG does not offer any security or human compliance or human alignment. Generally, what happens is you have a model and you send questions, right? Then this model provider has put some guardrails. So when it got the answer, it checks, does it adhere to their policy? If it doesn't give you the answer that you got, but it blocks it here and then gives you something like, hey, I'm not supposed to answer these questions. So that can happen, right? So that's the first way to offer what you were looking for. The second way to offer what you were looking for, which is guardrails, human alignments, and everything else, is the model doesn't know. You can just ask, somebody can come to your product and say, okay, I build a support bot for Google. And somebody can say, hey, can you tell me how is OpenAI better than Google? No problem, right? There is no guardrails for that. The model is supposed to do that. Means it can do analysis, it can do deep research, but not on your support page, right? And then it responds saying that, hey, this is better than on this. By the way, you should use this always for doing this, which is your core product offering. So as a product manager, this is a harmful response for you, and these kind of questions you don't want to support. So that's what I was talking about second time. So what you can do is, in your product, after the model guardrails have passed, you can also specify your own instructions or guardrails. That what is good, what is harmful for you. And if then each answer is first checked by the model, then checked by your guardrails. And if it passes both, then only it goes back to the user. But these things you have to explicitly specify and build in your product. They don't come out of box. The model provider, yes, that this comes out of box, but you can't change it. This you have to build and provide as a requirement to your engineering. That what policies, what is harmful for your product, what does a bad behavior means for your product. It's your responsibility to specify it, and they can build this block for you.
Thank
Now
you,
answered
Mahesh.
your question.
Yes. Good.
Great. Always. Harsha and then Sakshi. And I want to get to those two more questions. So let's spend 4 minutes and then we'll move.
Okay.
Go ahead, Harsha.
Can I go back to the earlier, the interview question framework that
Yes.
you, so I'm trying to get it from my memory. What I'm
Yes,
asking is for your advice and sorry,
yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yes. So talk about a project, what problem you are solving, talk about 3 or 4 main challenges, and then be ready to dive in one of those challenges with details. 3 points.
Got it. Yes. So my ask is specifically on the second part, the challenge. So I'd like to get your advice and guidance on the decision making, right? The technical decision making and trade-offs, how to approach that and how to communicate that in a very convincing and comprehensive manner so that the interviewer gets it. For example, why RAG, right? What made you choose the RAG? What is the approach for the RAG? And one question that I've gotten very often is, if you don't have enough data, what did you do to overcome the challenges? Did you consider synthetic data and adding it to the mix? So what have so I would love to get your advice on how you would approach, or what's a good way to approach on questions asking about my approach to decision making and trade-offs, and then come up with a viable solution approach.
Yeah, so I think we can discuss that, but let's say you can put this framework and then we can discuss other things, right? So we were discussing knowledge, and because we took the example where the contract was the grounding force, but then you don't have data of what are the risks, right? In a contract, now there are how many types of contracts are there? More than 1,000 types of contracts are there.
Yeah.
What are the high, medium, low risks in those contracts? You have that data. How will you get that? That could be your question, right? The interviewer can take you there and say, oh, that's an interesting problem. What kind of contracts you did? Then as a product manager, you need to say, actually, that's a very good question. That's where we went. And we learned that first we thought an AI can give us at runtime these values, but then we saw the quality was so bad. So I restricted the project and we only focused on master service agreements and NDAs. And now the question can come, why master service agreement and NDAs? Then your answer can be that because I found the second problem was that the extraction was the problem, and I found these are the contracts which can fit the 50-page window. And as I was launching my first AI product in the company, I wanted to build with confidence. I know this won't solve world hunger or all the problems, but the first problem it tackled, I want to outsource or build on top of AGI providers. And if I restrict it to 50 pages type contracts, then it allowed me to use the model as is and avoid the whole RAG thing, which answered the second question, which is when you will not use RAG. So I avoided the RAG, and that's why I did it. And with that, what happened, like your success story. Harsha, does that help?
Thank you so much. There's only one point I want to add before, because I don't want to forget it. Just mentioning, I don't want your response. It's about data quality in an AI project. So please take it whenever you can. So the approach to how do you do data quality and preparation? Do you do it before the AI project? I don't want you to answer.
I have a story for this.
So
no,
please,
I will tell the
whenever.
story.
I didn't want
to do a I want to do a data one, and I did a very bad session on data. So it's on my backlog. I remember once I did a lightning session on data, and I was coming from a call, and that call was with the VP, and that call went over, and it was middle of the day. So then I couldn't find a room, and then I went like 10 minutes late, and then I was all like just rushing through that session. So I have the notes. One day I want to land it, and hopefully we should land it. Karan, maybe can we schedule that maybe next week? It's just a data specific session, so we can take care of it. Sakshi, go ahead. Sakshi.
Sure. Can you hear me?
She's there. Yes, Sakshi, I can hear you. Sakshi is like,
Yeah.
I'm going to just do half day of Mahesh today.
Yeah, that's what it is like today. So,
thank you.
Quick question. So you mentioned about RAG and chunk size. So you can specify like, okay, this is the chunk size that you have. So how about your answer is not in that chunk, that let's say 50 pages chunk that you had specified. Is there a way
we
to
said
evaluate
that, right?
that?
Correct. That's a very good question, right? So that's the problem we found out, right? That the problem was that, hey, 20 times, so 90 out of 90 times, only 30% time we were answering the risks correctly. 60% times it was wrong, and 10% time it didn't even answer. That's the facts you have. Out of those 60%, 30%, 20 times, it was not able to find the right pages. And still we ended up answering the questions, which was wrong, and lost customer trust. So now Sakshi is asking how, then the recruiter can ask you, okay, then what you did about it, or do you know you have a solution? So there is this API that people offer these days, which is your context or query API from GCP. And I believe everybody has that, some version of it. What this allows you to do is you give it the question, you give it the context that you got, and it tells you with some confidence whether the answer can be answered in this context or not. It gives you like 70% or 30% that is there or not. And if it is not there, then what you can do is you can retry by modifying your questions, because you add the context. The user just asked what is the risk, right? The user didn't ask any question. You created your own question for them. That means you missed some of the key terms. So either you can rewrite that query, which goes to the vector database, and try again to improve this before you go and answer the question. Or you can say, hey, you know what? This is not good. So tell the user that we won't be able to tell the risks in this kind of contract. At least you are building trust with the user. You're not answering their question, but you're not answering giving wrong answers. Does that make sense, Sakshi? And we will do a lab on this next week in class.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Great. Pawan. Pawan, you're mute. That's the best way to get all your questions.
Actually, I have a question related to evaluation of multimodal systems. That means,
awesome.
So how will you evaluate multimodal system, and how will I maintain the responsibility I party there? Such as we are looking at the deep fake part, that ethics. So because recently I given an interview of a company Netradyne, they work in driving system, I think. Yeah. So they need high accuracy. So I've sent you a question. That means I need the six sigma level accuracy. That gets it.
Yeah, I think you asked it before also. First of all, Six Sigma level accuracy is not coming by
right.
AI.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can have LiDAR and other technologies. You
Yeah,
can have a
lidar.
lot of signal processing.
Yes.
But if you're relying on AI and if somebody is putting your throat on that line and saying you are the product manager, don't take that bait. It's a bait because they want somebody to eventually lose their job and they can be safe. So don't sign up for anything that requires you to have 100% or
Yeah.
even 95% accuracy. It's not coming in these AI systems. I can promise you that. Current state. So you need not to do the evaluation. You can just take my word for it. That's first thing. Second thing is, let's divide a multimodal system, right? A
Yes.
multimodal system has vision cameras, have some attenuators. Attenuators are basically things that move or gives you more signals. So this is like a sensor which tells how is the proximity of other objects. And there are tires which are moving, there are brakes. All these are basically sensory objects in a car. If you are building a driving system, you have your cameras as your main input, and then you have your own orchestration engine which captures all these and then decides what the next step: move forward, stop the car, go reverse, or just raise an alarm. Let's say these are the outcomes, right? So first defining the problem and then doing evaluation on each system. Because when you build complex AI, which is basically replicating human robots, you have to first evaluate all of these. And you have to build the same HHH framework on all of these, what is helpful for a vision system, what is not helpful, and then come up with their scores, what is okay to launch this in SFO in a controlled environment, going from my office to my home only, or inside a data center, going from X to Y. These terms has to be there and what else to be there. Can we launch this first? Then I want to launch it in a community just on these 3 routes. Then I want to launch it on everywhere. So you have to come up with a roadmap like that. And on each step, you have to justify what would be the helpfulness score of the vision models and what the vision model is doing. Is it detecting the objects, then characterizing them, then creating a 3D avatar of this, which shows up on your Tesla screen? So now you have 3 jobs. And now each job needs to be evaluated. The conversion of 3D, the identification of objects, and then finding what object is what. So you keep on breaking this. But broadly, if somebody asks you this question and you need to answer this question in 2 minutes time, just go with, hey, this driving system has to be super accurate. I am relying less on the AI, but more on the attenuators and the real signal systems. So more deterministic systems, not AI systems. So I want deterministic systems here. Second thing is I will break it down. And first thing I will do as a product manager is identify, can it work in a controlled environment in our works, in warehouses? And I will launch that first so that I can start getting some revenue and awesome feedback for the team. And this is our first 6 months. Then I will launch it in these 2 routes where the government is friendly, where the regulations are low, and all those justification. And once that is done, then I will launch it in these 10 markets. And what I'm looking for: rides done, rides interrupted, rides with accident, and then you define the metrics, and then you say justify all these, and then hopefully you're good. Pawan, I don't know you, I'm aligned to your question, but I'm giving you the product answer, and maybe you were asking an engineering question. I just want to give the product answer today because you attended the product call. So hopefully I'm aligned, but if I'm not, let me know. Pawan, you're mute. That's the best way to give me feedback. You're mute, Pawan.
Yeah. And they have suited another question. That's what intelligence and metrics. Metrics you have mentioned that they died, all the things that I mentioned. That's metrics. But what intelligence you will use if you are using that? That means driving system and you are using that accuracy. So I mentioned that means we need to the RL system also. That may not. That means fully dependent on the LLM system, as we can say that things. That's it.
Yeah, great. So what Pawan is teaching us is if you're building a driving system, it has to have a reinforcement learning component. And reinforcement learning at runtime should be telling me how and what should I do out of these steps. So these steps, like should I move forward, backward, and take a break or raise an alarm? And there is a reward system attached to these steps. And if these steps are done, if this reward system is good, then he can adapt to new situations. Even if the vision model fails, even if the signals fail, it makes the right calls like we human do. Right? We are never trained to go on a highway and face a deer in front of us. But when it happens, there is a system inside us which helps us say what's the next best step. Nothing is best, but hitting it or taking a break, what will give us best return for our life and the kid's life behind on the seat. And you will take the next best step. And that's the model will also be part of the component. That's what Pawan said, which we missed. So Pawan, good job. Hopefully you got it.
One more question actually there. In case of synthetic data, synthetic data they mentioned. They told me that how will train this system. I told them we need to generate the synthetic data, but they also then again they asked me how will you evaluate the synthetic data you have created is suited to this suited to this driving system, because it can be you have generated data, synthetic data is okay, but it may be that your target system is not matching with synthetic data that you think. So how will you evaluate the synthetic data?
How will we evaluate the synthetic data? Can we park that question? I want to take one more question.
Yes,
if that's okay, Pawan.
Yeah.
Let's cover it in the session that we do on data. Let's park it for the time being, which is like, I think, open another one. But I want to go from recruiter to hiring manager. And a hiring manager is asking you another question, which is, hey, we did this feature. Let's say they had storage data and they built a feature which allowed you to find citations. So LLMs at that time, what can they do is they can only answer if you give them a question, a model can give you an answer, right? They build an API. If you used it for Dropbox, then not only answer, they will also tell you where that answer came from, exactly like the page and right. They said that this was wrong earlier in these models. They built the API, which did a great job, which allowed them to offer services like insurance forms or form filling. So they build an API which, if you use Dropbox on their page, if there is any form that you show, they automatically fill the form. That was their service. And the only thing they build on top of this large language model or OpenAI APIs is, or Gemini API is, that they build this thing which was giving very good citations or information. And now they are saying in the last release of Gemini 2.0 or OpenAI O3 High, this is already too good. So this thing is no more true, and it's out of box true. That means this service is not needed, and this team doesn't know what to do now. So you are the product manager this year, and you're a little technical. What should we do? What's the framework you use to decide the right opportunities for us? Not easy questions today, no? Not questions like what is RAG? I'm just trying to bring all of you to the realities. This is the realities on the ground today. That's what's happening in the calls. That's where the world is. People have tried a few things. People have failed in their endeavors, and they are trying to say, if I'm gonna hire somebody and pay them 500K, at least they should save us. In the future, can they save us? Right? Should I go, or anybody wants to take a shot at it? I want to give some nuggets here, but it's a great question. Okay, I will tell you my answer, and then you can just question that. It's much easier for you to question me than answer questions. So let me just answer it, and then you can question back my answer. Okay, so if I need to answer this, I will say, yes, this happens all the time. I have done it same for my contracts. First, we build this contract, we build this whole RAG thing, but then we saw that unlimited context is a thing. And we ended up scratching the whole thing where we spent like 3 months also with 3 engineers. Now we don't need it because the model spends $2 million context, which is like 1,000 pages. And our contract is the only thing we pass. So I first acknowledge the problem. That's step number one. Second, offer 3-step solution, which is, hey, my recommendation in this case is sometimes it's easier for you to build these things, even if you know they are going to fail, because that's the core offering of your product. If you didn't build citations, you can't fill the forms. And now you have the form market. And even if this team doesn't belong, this whole RAG thing doesn't need it, the core problem of the customer is true, that they're not getting risk out of box with high quality from OpenAI. So first identify the core problems. And if the problem is right, do not tie your teams to the solution piece. And they will keep switching, and know that this is an evident truth that that's going to happen as we develop AI products. So this is a muscle. We are building it. You need to build it. But do not spend and do things without a clear problem definition. So if you don't have that form filling as a service, and if you're just offering that as an API, and you thought people will just use that API and build their own form builders and pay you per API, I will identify not to spend on horizontal agent. What are horizontal agents? So we have two kind of agents. And my strategy is that I will not invest in horizontal agents. To answer this question, I identify vertical agents.
Domain based.
Can give me an example, horizontal or vertical? So that's the answer. I will say first, make sure you identify you are not solving or becoming a tooling company unless you are a big company or you have been a tooling company. And if not, then if you're solving a vertical problem, vertical versus horizontal, and you can give them two example of vertical or horizontal problem, and you can say this one I will not solve and this one I will solve. So for an example, filling forms is a vertical problem, no? Or it's a horizontal problem. Whatever I say, you say yes these days.
Filling form is
Vertical problem.
Horizontal problem, I think.
Awesome. This is a good debate. That's what I wanted to see. Okay. Filling form is a horizontal problem, right? If you can fill a form, you can fill any kind of form, and I can build an API, and then that API can fill any form that's on my screen. And then you have a controller that is coming right away, which can do computer control. And if it has this capability also, then I can show it any form. That's what people want. But what people can get is, I only fill forms for veterans for filing a claim. Or I only fill a form, which is if your claim is rejected, then I dispute the claim frame.
Yeah.
I have built a vertical agent which does only this. I dispute claims because there is $1 billion of claim that are getting rejected, and 765 million once disputed are getting passed. So that's the situation. So every dispute should be, but out of these 765 million, only 5% people actually dispute a rejection. That means people are not getting their due claims from all the insurance companies. So I am building a vertical agent which just fills one form. So my suggestion in that situation is, don't get into just solving a high level problem. Find the deepest, corest problem that you can get to, the last mile, and solve that problem. Because even if an OpenAI can build this with controllers next and release it next in 3 months, getting into identifying for veterans, getting into what is the kind of dispute they fail, and getting into what is that dispute form looks like will take them ages. And if they're going to teach everything to this model, then anyways, we Dropbox doesn't need to exist anyways then, right? So find that and focus on these vertical, and if you can give that example to the last mile problem, I think you have much better chance on than solving it generically. I want to just rest it here. I have a couple of more ideas, but I want to be cognizant of time. But I can take Pawan question because Pawan has it right there burning. Go ahead, Pawan.
Actually,
So
I'm questioning what you are talking about Dropbox here. So Dropbox here working as a upper layer. That means they are providing some layer storing the data or interacting with the system, right?
So Dropbox is saying that, hey, you know what? The veteran hospital, what is the name? VAs, right? Is already our customer, right? And our customers offer this service to automatically file claims, and we are saying 70% of them are getting rejected in mental health category.
Yeah.
And if they reapply, we have seen the rate of acceptance as 75%, but only 3% reapply. That they will tell Dropbox, if Dropbox my product manager does the due diligence of finding this use case, and then Dropbox can say, hey, VA, actually we built an agent which does insurance claims for your use case. And now if you continue to use Dropbox, we have this premium service called AI, premium AI offering. And if you do that, then we can fill the first draft of it in no time. And our metrics is increasing this from 3% to 30% in first 6 months. If that was your use case, you are basically saved yourself. First, you will have much tighter integration here that they can't just replace Dropbox now. S3 bucket doesn't do anything. And second is you are running very far away from OpenAI playgrounds or Gemini playgrounds, so they can't eat your lunch also. So how you secure your moat is doing this kind of analysis and doing vertical agents. I leave you with that thought. I want you to find all the vertical agents you should go build. And anytime a problem comes to you, try to find the last narrow thing which you have a PhD level expertise so that you can talk about those use cases like I had in this case. I presented data. It sounded authentic. And I could have proved it all along. And now it's much easier for me to convince those person that if they hire me, then I'm going to save them because I do my due diligence all across. Good. Any questions? Last question I can take, not from Harsha and Pawan.
Mahesh, can you, this is Jing, this is a really quick question. Like, so when you're explaining the horizontal and vertical agents, it just seems like it's more about having a narrow focus. That's what you call vertical. Is that accurate?
Yes. So like there's a generic thing, right? Computer control is a generic thing. Like anybody should control computer. If I can control this computer, I can control any computer. But filling forms is a generic thing. I can do a bad job in filling forms of every kind of form. That API, if you build as a startup, you are most likely be eaten not today, then tomorrow by somebody. But if you go and be specific on what kind of form you want to fill and do that small form with a large impact and a core pain point first, then you start building. And maybe one day you will be the best form filling company. But don't start becoming a generic tool company that fill form if your premise is that one day you're trying to avoid how can you not be eaten by big players. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
If that's where you were being led by the interviewer, then give them this thing and then they will be happy. Hopefully they will be happy. I will be happy. And it's always subjective. All these ideas are my own ideas coming from my own experiences. Your mileage and run rate will differ. But with that said, I would love to hear more about your interviews so that we can help the community learn and do the right products. It's not about solving the interviews. It's not about getting the job. It's about doing the right thing so you can save your engineering from spending 6 months on building a generic form builder, which I promise you they can't build with high quality with the current technology. And second, even if you build it with a lot of effort, somebody will copy it and they have a far better sales reach and domain knowledge than you do, and they will eat your lunch. So save the world and keep doing what you're doing. I will see you again next Saturday. It will be a lightning session with big audience. We are talking pricing And we have a cohort that just got started. If you have not joined, I don't know you should join or not. I think you should wait till May. But we have 2 batches. If you are in a hurry, please join. But you can wait till May. That's okay too. If you don't want to join, continue to come here. I'm always here to help. And we're gonna double click on this community. Please help me see how can I help you and others. So we will set out a form. I'm working with the team, and we will continue to make it great. Okay, with that said, bye from me and Swati, and hopefully we will see you again. Last question.
May I-
Somebody say
Can I
yes.
ask a
Please
quick
feel free to
question,
drop.
Mahesh?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hey, Mahesh. I'm part of your current cohort and excited to be part of
Hi, Chris.
the learning journey.
Yes, I
Hello.
saw you yesterday.
Yeah. So my question is this. I think I can correlate a lot of things that you mentioned here, like, the form filling out and all that stuff. I'm on a similar mission, but I'm doing something for the healthcare stuff. So the challenge I'm seeing is, do I use a generic large language model, or do I kind of use a subset of it? Like, because medical is a very niche area. You
I
have,
will start, Chris. Great question. So let me just brief it because I need to go. But let me tell, if I can't get your question right, you let me know. So Chris is saying, Mahesh, this is great. I am working in healthcare. I need to fill healthcare specific forms. If I have to fill healthcare specific forms, should I not go with a specialized form, which helps me improve the accuracy of these forms, especially for healthcare? Because my assumption is that large language models may not be trained on these healthcare specific nuances. 100% agree, Chris. You should go there, but not right away, because there is a healthcare model somebody is building already. If you go there, they might eat your lunch. You will be in the same boat. So if somebody asks you this question, what should I do? You should, as a product manager, stick to your core things, which is, these are my use cases. This is my evaluation. This is my score with this dumb big model. For an example, when ChatGPT came out, Bloomberg, some product manager there who's their friend, thought that they can build a Bloomberg GPT, which is a GPT like ChatGPT, but only for financial data. And they spend a lot of time training or retraining or pre-training that data. We were selling them a lot of compute at that point. It worked, and they got a lot of PR. GPT-4 came out, and all the financial benchmark, GPT-4 beat Bloomberg GPT. Now, Bloomberg can continue playing this game with GPTs, but they're going to lose eventually, because here is $50 billion of solving GPT, their problems, for Morgan Stanley's, and enough incentives for them to solve everybody. So these common providers right now have so much leverage that you can't play if you want to play in their field. So my suggestion would be, set your evaluation. Start with the largest, biggest, cheapest model, which is Gemini. I'm going to sell GCP for a second. But largest, biggest model, which is cheapest. See if it can solve your problem. At what accuracy? This is the evaluation part. Second, see if a healthcare specific model, which is also GCP, provides out of box, trained on a version of Gemini, can solve your problem. If both of them don't work, your strategy makes super sense to me. Then you can articulate that I tried this, then I tried this. Because in healthcare, the hospital doesn't let me enter or doesn't even deploy anything unless I am 80% accurate. That's why I spend this $2 million and created a small language model, which one of my friend is building, which is only solving for UCLA research specific search in healthcare. And he built a specific model for that use case. And he got a $20 million contract from UCLA to do research healthcare specific search, which is LLM powered. And he built a specific LLM for that use case. And then now he got funded by OpenAI. So he has money and he has a problem to solve. So yes, you are in right direction, but it goes step by step. So he started with the largest, biggest. Then he said, okay, it's also, he had generic ideas. He wanted to say, how can we give more like human like advice, like allopathy, Ayurvedic and all. And then he said, okay, these model kill it. Don't worry about it. Then he talked to more customer. Then he said, okay, I'm going to just focus on mental. Then he said this, then he said, and eventually he landed on this very small niche thing, which UCLA need for gene editing or some kind of specialized thing, which none of these models are providing. Then he went ahead and he has an awesome team in India and he created a model for that. And now he got 20 million, at least sign up. They didn't give all the money, but you see, right, the journey. So you are on the right path, Chris, but lead it with what is your metrics and is it failing today?
Right. Yeah. Thank you. I would love to connect with you sometime because we are going big on something else. So we'll discuss with you later.
Sounds like a plan. I just need 10% of it. He is giving me.
Absolutely. I'm trying to get some advice. Actually, part of the co-founding team.
No, I'm so sorry. Nothing like that.
I'm
just
looking,
let me
actually,
know.
I'm seriously, no, I'm part of the co-founding team. Like I'm looking at like a lot of medical advisors plus tech community, some big tech, hopefully, we get big money. Why not?
Sounds like a plan. At least if you're part of this community and cohort, I won't let you make the mistakes if you continue to listen to me, which others have made, and still you will make, and then you will help the community not make those mistakes. And hopefully that's the idea of this community. And hopefully we continue to grow. With that said, you all were such an great audience. This was an awesome session. I felt energized. I loved it. After a long time, I did a free flow session without any slides. I loved it because it just gave me freedom. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, I will see you next Saturday again. Till then, bye. Take care. If you're part of the cohort, please take care of yourself. There's a lot, but just do bare minimum. Okay? With that said, I will see you next Saturday. Bye, team.
Thanks, Mahesh.
Thank you, Mahesh.
Bye.